Hi, this is Princess Patra coming to you all with another video, and I just wanted to bring awareness of the process of joining the military, the Air Force at that. If you want to go ahead and like and subscribe, that would be awesome so you can be a part of my journey. Thank you. The process of joining the military is pretty straightforward. There can be some areas where you kind of get stumped and you have to wait long periods of time to start another process or be able to go through the process again of getting to go to BMT, because that's the end goal, right? To get through BMT and to get through technical training and to get to your first base, PCSing. And one of the things that I want you to figure out before going to talk to a recruiter is your why. Why are you joining? That is a question that is going to be asked constantly, consistently. I wouldn't say, for example, to tell anyone, oh, I joined to get out of Kentucky, or I joined to better my education or to get education benefits. It's just kind of looked down upon. When they ask you a question like that, you want to give the Air Force answer. And the Air Force answer is, I joined to protect the citizens. I joined to be a part of this 20-year adventure. And 20 years means what? Retirement. Because they want people that are going to be in it for the long run. In which I don't know how people do 20 years, but I have come across a lot of individuals that say, I'm in it for the long run, I'm going to do 20 years. And some people, they change their minds. Some people, they do the 4 years, they get out. Some people do the 4 years, they want to do another 10. They want to do another 6. Lord knows. It's just all about the journey and what you go through, because people are treated different. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to that section, but yeah, the first section that I do want you to know before talking to a recruiter is your why, because they're going to ask that question. Why do you want to join? Tell them. Tell them the truth. Tell your recruiter why you want to join. Tell them the truth. And then have that second reason why as to why you join. That is the Air Force answer. I joined to protect the citizens of this country. You do not want them to look down upon you, even though like half of us don't join for that. We join for like our own benefit, right? Because we are our own selves and we represent ourselves, but we do represent the military now. And what do we do as being part of the military? Protect the citizens, right? So next, I just wanted to add that you want to have an intro. Your age, where you're from, why you joined, how long you're going to be in, your AFSC. Why did you pick that AFSC? What do you do in your AFSC? You know, just have that intro ready. Once you get through BMT and things like that. It's a question that is going to be asked a lot. And I know I keep on saying that, but it is just one of those questions that you can't get away from. And unfortunately, during first term airmen, or I can't remember, newcomers, something like that, orientation, they're going to be asking you questions like that. You're going to have to stand up in front of a group of people, an audience, and practically public speak. And that was one of the things that I told my recruiter that I did not want to do. And he told me, hey, you don't have to do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. It's not a lot of that in the military. And he straight up lied to me, unfortunately. There is a lot of standing up in front of a crowd of an audience or whatever, a group of individuals, and talking. And that's just one of the areas that I'm just not the best in. I've never been the best in public speaking. I probably never will be. And I'm okay with that. It's just not a thing that I want to do. Hopefully one day I can overcome it, but for right now, I'm just not too worried about it, honestly. So the third thing that you want to think about before talking to a recruiter is whether you want to go the officer route or the enlisted route. There's a lot of pros and cons for both. If you go the officer route, there are different avenues that you can take. You can come in with a bachelor's as an officer. You can commission, like enlist first as like an airman and then work your way up to commission into an officer position. Or you can go to USAFA. USAFA is the U.S. Air Force Academy here in Colorado Springs, and I believe they work toward a bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year program on top of the 4 to 6 years commitment that you have to give to the military. So I do know that pilots have to commit 10 years. 10 years is a big commitment to make. 6 years is already enough. Like 4 years is already enough. If you don't know what you want to do in the military, if you don't know too much about the military, I would say commit 4 years and see from there what you want to do, because you need to give yourself options. And if the option is, hey, I commit 4 years and I decide whether I want to re-enlist or get out, it's better than committing 6 years, and in between that 6 years you're like, oh, I don't like this, and you still have like 4 more years to commit to. And that's just an unfortunate battle with yourself, right? You're just kicking yourself. And a lot of recruiters get individuals to sign a 6-year, in which I just don't understand why that's an option, because who can say that they want to commit 6 years to something, especially when you're like a high schooler, or like you're just like a baby airman. Like you really don't know what you want at that point. But yeah, it's all up to you whether you want to commit for 4 to 6 years. With enlisted, of course, there's that commitment of 4 to 6 years, just like the regular officers, other than the pilots. One thing about enlisting, you're a baby airman, so you're lower ranking, so you're treated as kind of, for example, a CNA, and the nurses are the leaders, and unfortunately the nurses tend to battle with the CNAs and talk down on them and make them do most of the work, right? And that's what leadership does. It's not always a bad thing, because once you're getting your feet wet, you want to know all the different things that your job has to offer. But the reason why it's a bad thing is because you don't want to overwhelm yourself either. Because once you overwhelm a person, they think, oh, fight or flight, right? And a lot of people decide to flight, and that can cause a lot of individuals to end up getting out of the military because they've been like everything's overbearing for them, and that's just not a situation you want to be in. And if you ever get in a situation like that, you need to pull your officer or your sergeant, which is most likely going to be a staff sergeant, to the side and tell them, hey, this is a bit much for me. Or do the work, because even that looks better. When they see that a person is doing everything that they've asked of them, that looks so great as well. But if it ever gets overbearing, we don't need people killing themselves and things like that, committing suicide. So always go to mental health and let them know what's going on. Talk to your command and things like that. Let them know what's going on, because I know that being in the military can be overbearing sometimes, And especially being like a maintainer or security forces, they work long hours, long days, and I don't know how they do it, but they do it, and they come out with the worst attitudes, unfortunately. But I honestly don't blame them. They are given shitty jobs, unfortunately. Somebody has to do it though, you know. Yeah, they are maintainers. They're in charge of making sure, some maintainers, not all of them, because there's different sections of maintainers. Some of them are in charge of making sure that, you know, the motor on the plane works. And unfortunately, a person that was not trained on a certain thing that had to do with a motor on a plane ended up checking off that they're, or signing and checking off that they've been trained on it, and they weren't trained, and they were given that task and they did not complete it, and a pilot ended up dead, unfortunately, because a person didn't know how to do their job and they checked off that they did. That looks really bad. So don't ever check off anything if you don't know what you're doing. That happens a lot, unfortunately. Not like deaths like that, but that happens a lot where people don't have time to complete tasks, or they're not focused on completing tasks, and they just check it off like, oh, I know what I'm doing. In reality, you really don't. So just, what is it? Integrity. Integrity comes first. It's very imperative. Next, I wanted to talk about talking to a recruiter. So when you talk to the recruiter, just make sure that you're going in and introducing yourself rather than going online and reaching out to, or waiting for a recruiter to reach out to you, because that looks like you're more interested rather than just waiting for them to reach out and them leading and things like that. We don't need people like that. We need leaders. We need people that are going to put their foot forward and lead and march and know what they want out of life and things like that. Make sure that you take the ASVAB in advance, because that can help with time. Because once you take the ASVAB, you get your scores back. Sometimes you get your job back, and you then get to go to MEPS, and that is a medical evaluation board where they evaluate your whole body. But before we get into that, I do want to say, know your job before joining the military. Make sure that you're signing a piece of paper or something that says, this is going to be my job, because you don't want to be the person that gets stuck with bad work, or like a job that you don't want, like security forces or maintenance. I'm not gonna say like those are the worst jobs, but from experiences, from like talking to maintainers and security forces, they are not happy. Unfortunately, they are not happy, and I wouldn't be happy to work 12-hour shifts either. And sometimes they have to work longer than that. So yeah, just make sure that you know your job before moving on in the process. So after taking the ASVAB and getting your job, in which I got radiology, you go to MEPS, medical evaluation, in which they check your full body, and they have you duck walk, they check your ears, they check your hoo-ha, they check absolutely everything, your mouth, like your whole body is being checked, your eyes, all that. They want to know what type of injuries you have before you join the military, and the same thing is going to happen once you get out of the military. They want to know what type of injuries you got before and after joining the military, during joining the military. My experience was, I don't want to say unfortunate because everything happens for a reason, but I had the experience of failing MEPS the first time and having to come back a second time like a few months after because a woman said that she's seen something in my ear, excuse me. And I think she was like a nurse or something like that. And she said she's seen something in my ear and that she wanted to get it checked out. And I was like brought back. I was crying. I was like, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to get out of Kentucky. I'm ready to be away from this place. And I'm ready for a new start. And honestly, life wasn't too bad for me in Kentucky, but I just knew that I wanted something different. So it just really hurt to know that I failed the first time and I could potentially fail again. But I ended up going back and passing. The doctor, the physician that looked in my ear just told me that it was a piece of cotton, to my luck. And I ended up being able to swear in and say that oath at the end of the day. That is the most symbolic part of going through MEPS, is saying that oath and just being a part of that moment. It was amazing, honestly. So after you swear in, you say the oath and things like that, you're going to pack your bags and go to BMT. So my experience of first getting to BMT was them just being like very nice. I expected for people to be yelling at me, for people to be telling me, hey, you need to hurry up. Like, like just yelling in your face, like talking about you, like just being rude and obnoxious and things like that. But I didn't get that. No one got that at that time. I don't know if it was because of COVID or what, but they just told us to set our belongings over on the left side and then go sit on the right side and pull out our documents and things like that. Very soft-spoken woman. She was not mean at all. Like, she was very nice. In which I was kind of brought back by that because previously, when I was like 16, I went to an Army boot camp as a kid, and it was a bit different. It was pretty tough. We were working out all the time. It felt like prison, to be honest, and we weren't allowed to leave, so it was practically prison. It was juvenile prison. And I decided that I wanted to go there. I was not like there because I had to be there or anything like that. It was a choice of mine, and I will never say that it was a choice that was a mistake because I learned a lot during that time, and I learned a little bit more about myself, and I learned how to work as a group. I learned just how to take care of things, how to work out a little bit better, exercises and things like that. What else? Just overall being a better person. And I really do love that experience, and hopefully God, like one of my kids or my kids in the future. Oh, that scared me. Hopefully to God, my kids in the future want to do something like that so that they can learn more things as well, because that was an experience that I would never want to hold anyone back from. Some of the girls, they were there and they've been through some bad experiences, like getting raped, kidnapped, beaten by their parents and things like that. And I was just like, I cannot relate. You know, I don't have the best upbringing, but nothing like that happened to me. And it was just so terrible. Like every night I would just have like bad dreams because I felt like I was surrounded around people that were just angry inside. And I can understand why they were angry, but it was just a different experience, let's say that. And I hope to God those girls are doing better. And it seems like most of them are, because because I have some of them on Facebook and things like that. But back to what I was saying, because you know I can get off topic. So BMT lasted about 7.5 weeks. The first week is 0 weeks, so it doesn't count, unfortunately. I was kind of upset when I found out about that. I was like, I've put in all of this work and a week hasn't even gone by. It's 0 week going on first week, or 1 week, or whatever you want to call it. During this time, you want to prove yourself. You want to prove that you're a leader, that you can be a great follower as well. And unfortunately, I tried my best to stay low and away from like any like bad things or getting in trouble and things like that, but it seemed like it always came to me. Unfortunately, for instance, I had a leader, an instructor, pull me aside and ask me if I actually wanted to be there at BMT because I wasn't acting like it. And his acting like it was that I needed to smile more. Can you believe that? I needed to smile more during BMT. I needed to show that I wanted to be there by smiling. I couldn't believe that. And the rest of my group members were told that they needed to smile less. So they pulled me apart from my group to tell them one thing and to tell me another thing. And I was like, wow. When I was in boot camp, there was no smiling. There was no looking at boys. There was, you put your head down when a man comes in, and that's how it's going to be, right? But the Air Force is so different. The Air Force is so different. Let me tell you, that experience was a wild experience. For instance, 2 of these women went to go use the latrines that we were told previously that we could use. And I seen them walking out of the latrines, and I decide to go use the bathroom because I had an emergency and I could not hold it, unfortunately. And next thing I know, an MTI is in front of the door when I come out of the door, asking for my 341. I believe that's what it's called. And I was just like, wow, like these girls just went to the bathroom and I can't use the bathroom. But that was nonsense. That was just brushed under the rug. I thought I was gonna get in so much trouble, unfortunately. But I made it through graduation and things like that. I got to work out a lot and I got through it. And next we got shipped out. Oh yeah, and BMT is in Lackland, Texas. Lackland seemed like a nice base, seemed well kept. Most of the Air Force bases are well kept. So next we got shipped out to our technical school, and my technical school was radiology, which is medical. All of medical is at Fort Sam Houston in Texas, so right up the street, about 30 to an hour away. And yeah, I graduated. It was a bit difficult because some of the things that they teach you are not things that are what you're going to be using like on the job. It's kind of like counterintuitive, but yeah, it's just like some of the things are not even on the ARRT. But I got to my phase 2 and I got on the job training, so I got to be taught the book answer and also the on-the-job training answer. And honestly, it just kind of messes with your brain. But as long as you're listening, taking notes, studying like you should be, in which I was studying all the time, like every day, because I just wanted to pass. But I got to my first base after graduation from my phase 2, in which my phase 2 was at USAFA, Colorado Springs, and my first base was at Whiteman Air Force Base. I ended up driving like 9 hours to get there, and the drive didn't even seem like it was 9 hours, to be honest. I just want to say, like, make sure that you keep on your toes when it comes to getting to your first base, and make sure that you're getting out of your section and volunteering, because that looks way better than a person that's staying in the section and doing a whole lot in the section but not doing anything outside of the section and volunteering and leading and things like that. That'll help you get picked for deployments, and that's how I got picked for a deployment. I got to go to Abu Dhabi, Al Dhafra, which is like an hour or 2 hours away from Dubai. And Dubai is so beautiful. That experience was a different experience. It was like I was in a new world. But yeah, you get privileges, and that's just a different topic. That's a different video that I have to get into. Yeah, but thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, honey.